Hey guys, welcome to Lunch with Mr. Mike. I hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are. And this is the Lunchtime Talking Show. As you'll notice, we changed the angle here in the studio a little bit from yesterday. Not that it makes any difference whatsoever, but I just figured you'd want to see more of nothing. And so anyway, question for the day as we get going. I am feeling a little under the weather a little bit today, and so I will periodically be drinking tea. So if it bothers you for me to actually be eating during lunch, I'm sorry. Just what's gonna happen. Now, the question for the day: what is the dumbest thing you've ever gotten hurt by, or what is the dumbest injury you've ever had? All right, so answer that one in the comments. Let me tell you, I got two stories of stupid injuries I've sustained. One is right here on my knuckle. The other one is an ankle issue that I still have to this day. Just there are those moments when you know what's about to happen, but you still do the thing anyway. So again, what is your story? Just share it with me. I'd love to hear some of these. So let me tell you the story. Years and years and years ago, I worked at Ironwood, which is a camp down in the desert. Oh, I gave the name. Anyway, so I worked at this camp down in the desert, and we were building a log lodge type building, and it was going to be a meeting room for the junior high camp. And so it's this massive log building. Obviously, they called it the Twig because that's what you call any massive building that is made of logs. You just call it the Twig. And so if you go down there, you'll still see it. I don't know that they use it for a meeting room anymore. I don't remember. They've shifted a lot of things up since I left. So as we were building the back of the Twig, and these beams are actually not there anymore because I was back a few years after this point, and I actually helped find replacements because they rotted out. So I don't think it had anything to do with me, but so the actual witnesses to this injury are not there to my knowledge anymore. But what happened was, when you're building a log lodge, what you need to do is you need to plane the bark off of the logs you're using. And so we had these logs, I guess if you want to call them logs. They were about that big, and they were going to make the back railing of the Twig. And so you'd come out from the second story, and then there'd be this wooden staircase that would lead down the back, and that railing is what I was working on. So they had it set up, and there was a tool I'd never used before. I really, really want to get one. I just haven't gotten around to, forking out the like $25 it takes to buy one. But I want one just so I can put it on the wall of my shed and just kind of talk about it and have the illustration. But a draw knife is a tool that basically looks like a blade with two screwdriver handles. Okay, so it's fun. And so what you do is you take the draw knife and you put it out like this, and then you just rake it back, and you're stripping the bark off of this beam. And so I had that job, and it was getting ready for the first week of summer camp. And so in the lead up to that first week of summer camp, we were going through training, we were getting buildings done, and so there were some other aspects we were working on. And so I'm trying to basically strip the bark off of this tree. Well, I came up on a knot, and as I'm going, I couldn't get through this knot. So I had the genius idea of, I'm gonna take the draw knife in one hand, and I'm just gonna chop at the knot like this, all right? In my brain, I knew if you slip, you're gonna catch yourself right in the knuckle. Like, this is gonna hurt, like, don't do this. And also in my brain, it was, oh, this is fine, I'll be okay. Yeah. And so anyway, as you guys know where this story's going, because I've got a scar, and so what happened was I put one hand over here on the log to steady it, and I took the other hand with the draw knife, and I just started whacking at that knot. Now, I used to play golf, and I got the nickname Tiger in the Woods because my aim is not very good. When I use a hammer, my dad often says they don't call you lightning because you're fast. All right, so my hand-eye coordination is not the best. I have injured myself many a times with hammers or screwdrivers or other things because I slip and catch myself in the hand. Okay, it is a normal practice for me. I should have known better, all right? And so I'm sitting there whacking away at this knot, and I'm going, and I completely slip. And that draw knife, which remember is a blade with 2 handles, it goes whap, right into my knuckle. All right, now my hand's sitting right here. The draw knife slips. All right, and so I got this wonderful scar right here, and somehow the other line of the scar from where it hit doesn't actually line up, so I'm not quite sure how that worked. I guess I must have had my hand in a weird position. And so it nailed it. Immediately I pull my hand back, I look, and I see some white. And so I think I was either looking at bone or tendon. It was, I won't get into all the gruesome details, don't worry. If you're queasy about those type of things, don't worry, I'm not going much further. There will be a little bit of blood, okay? So if you don't like blood, just skip a few seconds. It started bleeding like water. All right, that's how quickly. So I just wrapped my hand in my shirt, and Miss Carol was my program director back then. And so I just wrapped my hand in my shirt, and so I've got a white shirt on. It's now just covered in blood. And so I went to find her, and the weird thing about this is it didn't hurt at all. I don't know if you've ever had one of those injuries where it didn't hurt. It was so weird. So I don't know if it was just like my body went into shock, like in just my hand. And so, long story short, a little bit shorter, I showed her it. We were concerned that I may have hit a tendon. So we went into the ER, and the ER down there in Barstow is not so good. They told me that I severed a tendon. Now this is after waiting forever. And so they stitched it up, they cleaned it up, and they told me that I severed a tendon. Now if you know anything about biology, you know that tendons are those things that attach bone to muscle, okay? So I have a tendon right here in my hand, and when I stretch my muscle, it pulls my hand up, and then when I do it the other side, it pulls my hand back down. And so that's how you move. It's tendons. If my tendon is severed, I should not be able to move. Okay, it's just a basic scientific fact. So I'm here at the ER, and they tell me that I've severed my tendon. And so I look at them and I go, how can I do this then? Because I could still do this. And they go, well, you're young. When you get old, it won't be as, you won't be able to do that. And I'm like, pretty sure that's not how that works. Like that. Anyway, so we went to a specialist, and the specialist basically said, no, you didn't sever a tendon. You nicked like a third of it. And if you had severed a tendon, then you would have seen like this bulge down here because your muscle would have retracted, not being connected to anything, so you had a bulge down in here. And so to give you an evidence, a few years after that, I had a guy in my church who ripped his bicep. And so he did. He had like a weird bulge like right here because his bicep broke. And so his muscle actually contracted up into like this part of his arm. It was so weird. I may or may not have poked it a few times when I was in church with him because I was like, what is that? Anyway, so that is my story of a stupid hand injury that I received years and years ago. So I just want to know, like, what are the stupid injury that you had? Again, maybe it was one that was preventable or one that you knew full well, like, if I do this, I'm going to have this happen. But anyway, what is a stupid injury you've gotten? Hope you've enjoyed these stories of really stupid things. It is lunchtime with Mr. Mike. I hope you guys have fun, and hope you're enjoying virtual camp. I will catch you guys in a little bit. See ya.